Forever Wild is the theme of the Adirondacks, and if there's a place that embodies it, it's this place, Duane, New York. We're going to check it out today and see what's here. Very small town, and on the surface it seems like there's not much to do, but there are some historic properties we're going to take a look at, as well as go on a couple of little hikes and see what's here in Duane. With less than 200 residents, Duane was, and in many ways still is, a completely wild stretch of forest just south of Malone, New York, on the very northern edge of the Adirondack Park. It was formed in 1828 from a larger parcel that was formerly part of Malone. James Duane, who the town is named after and whose grandfather was a mayor of New York City years earlier, was the first proprietor and colonizer up here, turning this wild land into people's homes. The first major industry in Duane was actually the processing of iron ore, as well as subsistence farming for its early families. But the area would not be known for iron ore for very long. Duane would quickly become more well known for tourism than for anything else. In Duane Center, a little hamlet within the town of Duane, multiple hostels or hotels had popped up, providing places to stay for city dwellers that were coming north, looking to escape to the Adirondack countryside. There were also multiple lakeside hotels further out, including the Meacham Lake Hotel, which burned down in 1921. That lake would be turned into a campground and day-use property that is still popularly used today. There was also the Ayers Hotel, located on Lake Duane, which would do shuttles from the train station of Malone, bringing customers out to the beautiful lake shores on the northernmost edge of the Adirondacks. Today, Route 30 runs straight through the middle of town, a major north-south road connecting the southern part of the state all the way up to the Canadian border. This road is called the Adirondack Trail, but not much of what is developed in Duane is visible from Route 30. To get to Duane Center, where most of the buildings are, you have to turn onto County Highway 26, or a small number of other roads near the center of town. In Duane Center, there still isn't a whole lot to see. However, you can find a few old cemeteries, including the Ladd Cemetery, which is the final resting place of most of the early settlers of this little town. There is a town garage, the town fire department, which also doubles as the town court and has a small community room, and a bunch of residences near the Duane Center's four corners. The largest building here used to be a hotel and the town post office. There is no post office in Duane anymore. Duane has two properties listed on the National Register of Historic Places that we will take a look at. The first being the Duane Methodist Episcopal Church, now dubbed the Little White Church. Construction of the church was completed in 1885. The church is designed in the Romanesque Revival style. The dome on top is typical of New England meeting house design. For almost a century, this was one of the primary places of worship in Duane. But in 1982, the church closed its doors due to declining attendance. Today, the town of Duane owns this building and is available for weddings and other events. Right next door to the Little White Church is a town-owned trail system that acts as a nature walk that can also be used for cross-country skiing in the winter. In my opinion, these trails were not super well cared for, but they were still easy paths to get around on, and none of these paths are very long at all, so it is approachable for even the most novice trail hiker. I took a look at the trail map and had a pretty good idea of where I was going, to go to the lookout over the little pond at the far end. I wasn't sure what to expect, but this is what I found. A simple roofed structure with a single sign explaining how bogs work, and some information about the nature that can be seen here. After a few moments of soaking in the beauty of this little pond and getting eaten alive by bugs, I headed back to my car at the trailhead. The second Duane property on the National Register of Historic Places is the Debar Pond Lodge, which is just a few miles away, named after a Canadian trapper that visited the property in the early 1800s. To reach the property, there is a long dirt drive with a parking lot at the end. There is about a third of a mile walk into the property from there to see the lodge. Multiple structures existed on the property previous to what is here today. However, all of them met their destruction either by fire or demolition due to dilapidation. The 18-room Adirondack rustic main lodge here today was designed by Saranac Lake architect William Diston and built around 1940 for Arthur and Claire Wheeler of Palm Beach, Florida. The couple also had multiple other buildings built on the property, including a boathouse, a guidehouse, a barn, a generator house, a greenhouse, a chicken house, and a shed. The property was sold in 1959 to a World War II pilot, Farwell Perry, who had the property until 1979, when the property was sold to New York State, with a stipulation that the 25 acres surrounding the lodge be saved for private use until 2004, at which point the property, in full, was turned over to the state and became a part of the Forest Preserve, making the houses illegal, as the Forest Preserve does not allow for man-made buildings. Multiple efforts have been proposed to try to save this property from being torn down. It will be interesting to see what happens with this property, as many are calling for the lodge to be saved, and others are calling for the property's buildings to be torn down and allowed to be returned to a completely wild state. Duane is not the kind of town that you drive through and immediately think, wow, there's so much to do here. However, when you get off the main road and start looking around, it is one of the most beautiful places I have ever been, with gorgeous lakes, ponds, and mountains. It is a wilderness lover's dream. Trails and trees and absolute silence except for the wind in the trees and the wildlife around you. If you are an outdoorsman, or even if you're not, take a visit, stop and see the public trails and natural beauty that Duane has to offer. We'll see you next time, somewhere else down the road.